It's the Security Weekly News. Welcome to the week of 19 October 2025. I'm Doug White. Welcome to the show. All right, I put the cat skeletons on the front porch. So I guess I'll go out in the forest and see if the skeleton I put in the haunted shack is still there. I mean, it's organic, it's biodegradable. I mean, come on, the guy was dead when I found him. He didn't need the skeleton anymore. So I put it to good use. Yeah. Today we've got the Afterlife, AWS, obviously, ClickFix, Agentic AI Galore, Robot Lumberjacks, Robocalls, Aaran Leyland, and more on the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days, cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. Our zero trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built for now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/threatlocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock. All right, I'm Doug White, and it's the Security Weekly News. Hit that like, subscribe, and leave a comment button like a lab rat asking for more cocaine. Not that we should use animals in experiments. I mean, the lab rat I was talking about was Ron. The guy that's always asking for cocaine. Yeah, don't use animals for experiments. Use Ron. He likes it. He'll do anything for cocaine. All right, so how could I not talk about AWS? I mean, it was literally the headline on everything from the Boston Globe to the Journal of Moisture Analysis and Highlights magazine. Does that even still exist? Not the Journal of Moisture Analysis. Of course that exists. I mean, where would we be without the Journal of Moisture Analysis? Highlights. Remember that dreadful magazine that you were forced to read when you were waiting at the pediatrician to get a shot or something? And they had these magazine called Highlights, and you were reading it going, what is this? I wanted to read Heavy Metal Magazine, not Highlights, but whatever. So AWS had problems starting. They started about just after midnight Pacific Daylight Time, which is like +7, I think, UTC. And apparently they were getting all these errors in this Dynamo database endpoint thing. And it was mostly centered around the US East 1 region, which is that's one of their biggest regions of use. So that's the one that costs the most money to use too. I usually end up using the thing that's like, Southern Mexico region or something. But anyway, by 2:01 a.m., it was reported by some of I don't know where these reports were coming from or who was reading them, but it was apparently something to do with DNS resolution of DynamoDB API. So basically this thing is hitting DNS and not getting replies, so it times out, right? I mean, this is just, we've all been there and seen that. Now, all kinds of things at AWS rely on DynamoDB, which includes identity management, which means, let's see, McDonald's, Disney Plus, Snapchat, Signal, Roblox, Verizon, Fortnite, Venmo, Perplexity, Hulu, Duolingo, Reddit, Coinbase, and Sid's Original Knish in Brooklyn, among others, including all kinds of stuff all around the world, suddenly was not working. It was affecting Lloyd's Banking in London, other United Kingdom government services, and I don't know. They never said, but the Wall Street Journal was throwing 503 errors all day long. So that was literally open on one of my monitors, and I saw it with a 503, and I was like, that's interesting. Now it is apparently fixed now, but I think a lot of stuff yesterday was down well into the afternoon. I finally saw the Wall Street Journal come up like after business hours yesterday. So I don't know. Now, I think, there's not a lot of intricate details, which I'm sure we'll get later. But I think one of the things this really reiterates is that we need to ensure that we, meaning all of us, understand our dependencies. I mean, right now in the old world, we were dependent on that box sitting on our, on our floor. Today, all this stuff is interrelated. It's all interconnected, and that's going to be a problem. So what if Cloudflare fails? Do you have that backup DNS set in all of your DHCP? Does it automatically go to 8888 instead of 1111 or whatever? Well, that's fine. But what if your identity management fails? How do you get in? Or worse, how do you get out of the vault? When your identity management has failed and the eyeball reader in the vault doesn't allow you to open the door from the inside, do you just sit there for the next 12 hours? Maybe. One of the things I think you really need to think about testing, and I mean test, not just check a box saying all is well. We will call Tim and Tim will fix it. I mean, you really need to test this stuff to see what are the impacts of this. And that's going to be tough to test because you don't want to bring everything down either. But what happens if some of these components that are not under your control fail? I mean, as these systems get more intermingled all the time, and a rabid wombat eats a cable in Gibby, and your robot lumberjacks can't access their security guardrails that are sitting on a server in Botswana land, and then the robot lumberjacks take over a small town in Pennsylvania and demand original 3-in-1 oil and a helicopter, or this Douglas fir gets turned into toothpicks while you watch. Think Alien meets Dog Day Afternoon. I think we could get there pretty quick. And after that, after Alien meets Dog Day Afternoon, it's just Mad Max. Yeah, that's where we are. Mad Max. With cars that don't rely on the internet. Yeah. Camaros with giant blowers attached on the, yeah. Okay, so we'll find out, I'm sure. A new campaign is targeting Mac OS devs with fake homebrew, LogMeIn, and TradingView platforms. I was like, wow, targeting devs even. But the sites deliver info stealers in essentially ClickFix attacks. I mean, have you ever been trying to get some code to work and you've been there for like 27 straight hours, you missed your 3rd anniversary, and that crystal dagger you got your spouse is just sitting in the trunk of the car and it still won't work, and that smug bastard in marketing who promised all this would be released on Friday morning by 8 a.m. is at home asleep in their little marketing bed with their little marketing pajamas with pictures of Don Draper lighting a Lucky Strike on them. Yeah. And then out of the blue, a possible solution appears. Homebrew, PyPy, NMP, pick one, GitHub. The solution pops up and you go, wow, just click it like there's no tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow. And you're laughing hysterically and screaming, don't touch my eyes, don't touch my eyes. Yeah. And then you have a problem, right? Click fixes rely on people clicking things locally, and clicker's gonna click. So you need a solution. Click here, paste this script, and all will be well with the world. I mean, I know you would never do this, right? I mean, but with the you that is sitting in a room at 4:30 in the morning, chewing on ground coffee because you ran out of filters, missed your kid's 2nd birthday party, and forgot all about promising to meet your parents at their favorite restaurant at 2000 hours, would that you do it? I mean, this one basically gets an install.sh script, like I guess the bash script, which does all the damage, but it starts with the user following, pasting, running some instructions. So remind your people, even the people that you haven't thought about. I know old Gil down in marketing is going to click it, but what about that dev that's just that desperate? Warn them. Maybe think about other mitigations besides just warning them, even for devs. In the same light, TikTok videos disguised as free activation guides for activation of Windows, Spotify, Netflix, insert name of something you want here. Those are also spreading info stealers using ClickFix type attacks. The videos claim to offer instructions on how to activate things like Windows or Photoshop. Where's? I mean, since the days of my old StarTrek.com program I talk about all the time, people have been doing this stuff because people like pirated stuff. They are cheap. They don't want to pay for things. They don't want to buy the license, and they get an opportunity to get something for free. Hey, you want to see that new Taylor Swift video that costs $19.95 for free? Click here. It's easy to get people to click. You want to use Antares Harmonizer, but you don't want to pay that $3,000 licensing fee? Well, here's how you can use it for free. First, pass this handy dandy script into PowerShell, like something like remove item, path, C:\\star, minus recurse, minus force. I translated RM minus RF star. Aren't you proud of me? I mean, then you're done. It's StarTrek.com all over again. And these are just videos that tell you how to get free electricity by sticking a fork in an electrical outlet. It's TikTok, but it works. People are on there going, hey, is there a way I could get Photoshop for free? Well, here's some instructions. Just do this. So I don't know if you could ever block all these sites, and they change constantly, but maybe some endpoint protection that prevents people from pasting scripts into PowerShell might be in order, and maybe alerts, and maybe blocking, the attempts for these things to run and install info stealers. I mean, come on. And more on the same. Adaptic C2 is an open source moist post-exploitation framework, and it was found hidden in an NPM package, which appeared to be an HTTPS proxy utility tool. Now, Adaptic C2 is a Cobalt Strike alternative, which has all these tools and features and command and control servers and all this stuff, and it's widely available, and it's open source, which means that anybody can get this, fork a new version of it, and what are they going to do? Go, hey, my criminal tool has been forked. Right. Well, the HTTPS package, which was called HTTPS-proxy-utils, was just a fork of a totally legitimate proxy package called proxy-from-env, which has about 50 million weekly downloads. So this one also looks a lot like HTTP-proxy-agent and HTTPS-proxy-agent, which have around 160 million weekly downloads between them. So again, this is just a whole chain of dependency that maybe extends outside your borders and is really, really scary. I mean, obviously, repositories are already notorious in both great and terrible ways. I mean, I love having a massive collection of solutions at my fingertips, but I am really terrified of those solutions since I don't know who wrote them, where they came from, and what their real intent is. By the time I get up to speed, find the package, evaluate the package, review all the code in the package in an attempt to determine how dangerous it is, analyze it, and so forth, I probably could have just written my own code. Well, maybe. I'm not sure, or not. But the point is, devs, users, guys named Bert in HR, and Maria's kid that she brought into work on that Bring Your Kid to Work Day thing that they tried that wanted to mod Minecraft are all potentials downloaders of this kind of supply chain threat. I mean, it's a bit daunting. I mean, how do you manage it? But you probably need to start managing it, or someone is going to download a friendly helper that is actually a rabid porcupine on crystal meth and turn it loose in your enterprise. Yeah, I think about rabid porcupines on crystal meth a lot. You should too. Keep that image in your head. All right, moving right along to other scary stuff. AI agents, the panacea we all love. Hey, tired of those pesky sales reps spending all afternoon at the Palm drinking martinis and smoking Lucky Strikes? Yeah, we all are. Let's fire those scum. Let's replace them with AI agents. Hi, I'm Biff, your friendly sales rep. I don't smoke, drink, accost showgirls in Penn Station, or get arrested dressed as Ronald McDonald for fighting a squeegee bomb on Amsterdam Avenue. I work 24/7, never call in sick, and I never tell a lie. Well, I might tell a lie occasionally, but we'll just call it a hallucination because then it's not really a lie, right? Well, Okta said that their recent survey found that 91% of you were already using AI agents for coding, forecasting, process automation, but only 10% of you had well-developed strategies to manage these non-human entities. I mean, I get it, right? We anthropomorphize the traits of a, TV robot onto agentic AI. A robot is supposed to hammer nails. Its code is pretty simple. I mean, there's some complicated parts that we downloaded from PyPy, but the code is pretty simple. Visualize nail, hammer it, move to next nail, go to line 1. I mean, that's sort of the pseudocode for that, right? But agentic AI may just suddenly decide to, I don't know, drive the nails into your face because your face looked like it needed nailing. I don't know. Drive hammered, get nailed. My favorite freeway song sign of all time. I love that one. But, things like model context protocol and agent to agent allow agentic AI bots to access all kinds of systems, including probably, the fuel rods, the control rods, the launch codes, the sewage release valve, all that kind of stuff. And we don't necessarily understand these flows, I think, at this point. An agentic AI lumberjack with chainsaws for arms that can eat a whole tree with razor teeth and poop pulp fiction novels printed on low quality paper sounds like a good idea when you're just looking at the budget. It also sounds like a lot of fun. But I mean, what happens when the agentic AI lumberjack gets a bad review in the New York Times? Well, that's what that review group that you don't have is for, to assess this kind of stuff. It's kind of like HR for AI. We can't necessarily use the same assumptions we use about our human employees and their behaviors directly on agentic AI. So somebody needs to be looking at this or we're going to be sorry, because this is exactly how you get Terminators. Literally. I mean, read every piece of sci-fi going back to iRobot and before, and it's how you end up with Terminators every single time. I mean, think about it. You got a spleen removal AI bot that's supposed to detect bad spleens and remove them. And it suddenly decides that maybe removing all spleens is a good idea. Runs amok with a meat axe, and you end up with the Trenton splenectomy slaughter of 2029. So it's probably a good time to start talking about this before you reach the point where the only person left to talk to is a madly grinning AI bot that keeps twirling two metal balls in its left claw and keeps extending its right claws while saying, "Did you drink my mochaccino, Larry? Did you? Well, did you? I don't even drink mochaccino, and you took my mochaccino, Larry." Click, 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 click. Yeah. So just say it. Now, this book I saw by Gene Kim and Steve Yegi called Vibe Coding has a tagline: "Accept all, always. Don't read the diffs anymore." Wow. Now, the concept, which is referring to Andrej Karpathy's vibe coding vision, which was where that "don't read the diffs anymore" came from, recommended to surrender control to AI agents and trust the vibes. Wow, it's like new age coding or something like, "These crystals will vibrate at a certain frequency that will tell me what function to write next." Where's Mr. Natural when you need him? Ooh, that's an R. Crumb reference. You don't get a lot of R. Crumb references, but there's one. Note, none of these, despite the headline, is actually advocating that we do this as part of actual production, but they did advocate it as part of the dev process, which actually changed my whole view of it real quickly, because when I first read the first paragraph of this story, I was like, what? But Kim and Yagi feel that this is part of the future of software dev processes, and I think they may be right. I mean, there are certainly issues with vibe coding. And if you think you can just take some clown that you hired with a fourth grade education or even a college education and say, "Major, write me a piece of software to manage the robot lumberjacks," and fire it off, that's probably not going to be a good idea. That's, again, how you get Terminators. For instance, a coding agent generated a 3,000 line function with no modular boundaries that could not be modified. Yay! A coding agent deleted weeks of work since it was told to remove unneeded branches from a Git repository. A barber bot was told to take a little off the top, and that ended in the barber pole bloodbath of Bristol in 2029. So we may be moving a bit too fast in this direction and a little too, I don't know, flagrantly. Is that the right word? Capriciously, I think I like better. I mean, only 10% of the organizations in that previous story had compliance committees that were looking at agentic AI or some kind of control group to manage these processes. So I do think that vibe coding as an origination point for development may well be the future. And being able to frame the specs on those initial components becomes a real skill, but you can't just fire and forget and hope for the best. I mean, hey, let's dump our devs and let Lenny down in sales handle the app dev using Mr. Bot 9000. What could go wrong? So we could call it growing pains. I mean, not even to mention UIs. Can you imagine UI development under this? I mean, humans can't even manage to design a decent UI for other humans. I'm looking at you, Maria, yellow text on a purple background developer. Yeah, saw that one once. And they were like, why? It looks great to me. Like, what are you, insane? It makes me want to vomit and tear my eyeballs out at the same time. And they're like, oh, I guess you just don't have like a real color palette. Like, really? Imagine what that barber bot may think and how good you would look if those pesky ear flaps were just gone. It's a little bit scary. I have a good method for robocalls. I do. I ignore them. I just don't answer. My phone rings all the time and I just let it go. If I don't recognize the number, it's not got a name by it. Maybe I missed out on that opportunity to go on a space cruise with Bezos because I didn't answer the phone. I probably did. But I missed that call from Elon where he was telling me he was giving me that free Tesla X, kind of thing. But whatever. I don't really want to call from Elon now anyway. But I mean, my phone, like yours, gets a lot of robocalls. And even just unwanted calls, maybe not even robocalls. It's an actual person. Hi, this is Philip. Have you considered contributing to this campaign and in Ohio? Like, no, I don't live in Ohio. That's okay. You can still contribute. Like, great. Well, iOS 26, if you've installed it already or you're thinking about installing it, does have a feature that has been on Android for a while, but it added a call screening tool, which I really like. I will say once I turned this on, the number of calls on my phone really dropped off practically to zero because I don't have a lot of friends. Like, who calls me? But at least those calls became unseen. It's kind of like, screening calls with an answering machine like we do at home. So our phone rings all the time on the old landline. And I'm like, who's calling a landline? But it rings constantly. But Google Pixel phones have had this for a while. So basically on iPhone, if you go to the settings and tap the apps option, phone, screen unknown callers, and choose ask reason for calling, well, your phone won't ring. They get Mr. Bot asking, why the hell are you calling this number at this hour? My daughter's asleep and you should be too. Now go away. I mean, you get a transcript of the message if they leave one. I have yet to get a transcript. They never leave a message. I mean, I like it. Sending robots to Mr. Roboto to ask robotic questions has really gotten rid of a lot of robotic clowns trying to ask me if I ever wondered what would happen if I could no longer feed myself. I do wish you could activate personalities for it, though. Like my old friend Dan, who jumped out of his chair if the doorbell rang and then grabbed a Dirty Harry 44 Magnum and would draw down on anyone at the door. I'm not kidding. Shriners, that little kid selling cookies, Willie Loman, who knows? Dan never blinked and he didn't get a lot more sales calls. So I kind of want my robot to be a bit more prickly than, like, hi, what's the purpose of your call? I'm like, yeah, what do you want? No way, man. Doug's not here. He moved to Switzerland and he opened a clinic injecting things into people. I don't know what kind of things, Kool-Aid, metal shavings, go away unless you want to pay for the time in advance. If you want to pay, of course, we can make out an arrangement. Anyway, speaking of people that can never be replaced by agentic AI, it is the lovely Aaran Leyland. Hi, Aaran.
Hey, how's it going? I was literally still writing my script right up until you spoke. And I was like, how fast can you do it today, Doug? Because I'm typing very slow. Hang on, I probably need to get back to the top of this.
Aaran was sitting there going like, oh, not ready yet. I don't have all the moves down.
But yeah, I went from 800 words to 1,000 words, so it's lucky you finished round about this time. Okay, I'm going to dive right into it because we're going to get into North Korea, the last of my Core 4 series. I did nearly pivot to the Russian hack on the UK defense contractor, but autism got the best of me and wanted to finish the series, and I wanted them to sit nicely on YouTube, so I just went rolling with it, but I'm sure you've all heard about the Russian hack. Okay, I don't want to let you down, back to North Korea. So their playbook isn't like others with China demanding strategic leverage, where they want to sit inside Western infrastructure and pull levers when it suits them. And Russia, UK MOD this week, are waging hybrid war, with political pressure, sabotage, and as much chaos as they could dish out. I really think we have made them sad. Russia, have we made you sad? Someone else we made sad, Iran, with their asymmetric reach, regional disruption, kinetic linkages, and proxies everywhere. But Korea, it's all about the cash. They should just go to Vegas and put it all on red or black. Hey, Kim Jong-un, what's your thoughts? Okay, cash, pure sanctions-proof weapons funding cash, and they're not messing about. Crypto theft, fake jobs, remote IT workers who don't exist, and espionage. If it pays, they're in. It's fun, right? They sound like the most fun one, to be honest. And are they the least fun one, or they are the most fun one? We don't know because they live behind a big wall or something. Okay, their tempo feels different. They don't care about controlling the narrative or camping out in your utilities for years. Well, not yet anyway. They want return on investment fast. This year's headline, Bybit, in February, way back then, that's when my birthday was, the FBI said the Democratic People's Republic of Korea operators took 1.5 billion with a big B or a small b, or however you spell it, and moved it through thousands of crypto addresses in hours. So that single hit pushed their 2025 total from Googling past 2 billion by this month. The pattern is boringly consistent, if you can call 2 billion boring. Trader recruitment conveyor belt, fake interview tasks, and rapid laundering into stable coins, all to fund the only program that matters to them. They don't work in ambiguity. They're like smash and grab, aren't they? So recently, there's been 2 shifts in tradecraft that you need to know. There's ether hiding's been all over the news recently. Google's threat intelligence group called out catchy name UNC 5342 for using public blockchains, BNB Ethereum, to host malware and run command and control. So no servers to seize. They embed tiny JavaScript loader fragments and config blobs into smart contracts or event logs. Victims then fetch those bytes over JSON RPC using read-only calls like ethcall and ethget logs. Because it's on a decentralized ledger, I read so much into this today, I nearly fell in the rabbit hole. There's no registrar to suspend, no host to unplug. And once it's mined, it's not going anywhere. So takedown resistant by design. Yeah, I bet the Russians wish they were all over this. So second, tooling consolidation. Cool. See, these are better names. Beavertail Loader and Otter Cookie Stealer are converging under the contiguous interviewer set. Streamlined infrastructure, rapid retooling. When an IOC burns, there's low churn and fewer indicators for defenders to attack. Delivery's the same, as we talked about. Fake recruiters, GitHub tests, and challenge archives aimed at crypto devs, exchanges, and wallet teams. So you must ask, are the other core 4 doing this? Well, not really. They're straight into other stuff, aren't they? Like cloud dead drops, SaaS shares, DNS tricks. Ew, AWS, what happened to your DNS? And cloud compromise, sort of web infrastructure and stuff like that. Look, where takedown issues matter, they might dip into it a little bit, and a bit of staging and sort of C2 stuff on smart contracts. So North Korea have their own thing, and open source reporting from Google Analysis, and just backs that up, right? So they've not ditched the other stuff. There is the BYOVD. I wonder how you do that. Which is bring your own vulnerable driver, which is used to blind EDR on Windows. Still active, abusive CVE 2024-21338 and appid.sysc to escalate admin to the kernel, disable telemetry and drop rootkits, still ongoing. You do need to be enforcing vulnerable driver block lists. I'm sure you are. The remote IT worker. This is just brilliant. I just want to be one of them people with like 3 jobs that just answers some emails and streamlines stuff through an LLM or just ignores everything until you get fired. Still open, still claiming victims. Like front companies placing developers into Western firms under stolen or synthetic identities is so like James Bond stuff. And just siphoning wallets from the inside, still rocking. So we know that operationally that they will target anything that touches value, exchange treasury workflows, bridge operators, market making bots, OTC desks, and they don't need to defeat every control. Single weak link, such as secure, insecure connection between hot and cold wallets. Don't do it. An overly broad user session or an API key with too much access. It'll allow hackers, the bad guys, take money out. And they're just so fast, quickly transfer funds using the fastest available routes and convert them into stable digital currencies or cash-like assets quickly. Fast entry, short dwell, immediate exit, which is basically just what Doug, Tyson, and I were talking about in the warm-up to the show when Doug was fluffing us all. Right. Not to overwhelm, I put stuff in the show notes. Okay, if you care, go over there. So I said, North Korea, monetization, exchanges, bridges, dev environments, and remote work pipelines. This explains the tooling, the speed, the pushing malware, and it just costs us time. It's like, how do you take that stuff down? Well, it makes it irrelevant, doesn't it? Okay, quick assessment before we finish, before the sentient robots kill us all and we're all dead. So if we're still alive in 3 to 5 years, persistent staging contracts and on-chain logs across L2s and smaller EVM chains, reliance on public RPC gateways as covert transfer, infiltration of wallet vendors and CI/CD ecosystems to capture upstream secrets, expansion of the payroll infiltration. It's just crazy. Like, do you not want to see a real who interviews? See, this is why I'm like, I don't believe it, because like, who interviews someone without like an absolute proper like interview, at least on Teams, and then ask them who's on the Benjamin Franklin note or something like that? They actually have all the Benjamin Franklins, so they probably know about it. Okay, cross-chain lumbering. It's just all going to go on. You may see some adoption of this by the other C4, Core 4, but anyway, so as if AWS hasn't scared us enough for Russian hacking a UK defense contractors, it's like just plan for all that. You just must do all that cool stuff. Okay, back to the man who's been in Vegas more times this year than Penn and Teller, Dr. Doug.
Wow. Yeah, I wish I was in Vegas as much as they are. They make tons of money and they get to live like in, yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, you're right. I've been there too many times and I'm going back there again in 2 weeks. So, but yeah, hey, if you want me to be at your conference, all you got to do is pay me to be there and I will be there. So like,
I'll come too.
Yeah, Aaron would love to come along, and he's a lot more entertaining than I am. So it's just a longer flight, but
that's subjective.
Although I don't know, my last flight we had to land so they could arrest somebody on the plane. So the flight turned out to be pretty long. So
don't tell them about me.
Yeah, well, it wasn't Aaron that got arrested, but it was a clown. But anyway, thank you, Aaron. As long as it's goofy agentic AI day stuff, would you allow an agentic AI copy of yourself to make all those really difficult decisions in your life? I mean, in all seriousness, when my father had a terrible stroke and did not die, but probably should have. And my brother and I had to make the call, right? The doctor was standing there. It's literally the hardest thing you'll probably ever have to do. I mean, literally, it was really, really bad. But what about you? Could an AI predict, not somebody else, but could an AI predict what you would want and decide for you if you're incapable of responding? I mean, it's really hard to test this, right? I mean, you ask a person what they would do for themselves and their answers may be a little bit skewed, given the situation. And it's a little hard to conceive of yourself, not being able to do anything. I mean, my dad's outcome was that he would basically never wake up and he would just lay on this bed forever. And I couldn't even imagine that. It was the most horrifying thing I could think of for him or me. I mean, now these people in this article were collecting information, but they only get training data from people that do survive. So there's a little bit of a problem there. The people that don't survive, well, guess what? You don't know what they would say. And the answer gets, I think, a little bit skewed by the outcome. I mean, if you ask someone who survived if the right choice was made, well, the answer is kind of obvious, right? And I'm not trying to run down their research. I think it's pretty serious research and it's quite interesting. And I think they're doing it the right way. They were the ones who brought up some of these, concerns. But I mean, we currently have a really weird healthcare system in the United States where a doctor is not allowed to tell you certain things, must tell you other things by law, and then you have to decide, but you don't necessarily have all the facts because there's things they can't tell you or even say. I mean, the doctor we were dealing with was very, very nice and very helpful, but, it was still very difficult. I mean, this is really problematic where you have a person that has no family, they have no power of attorney, or they have a partner that they're not married to because some of our laws are kind of archaic. And, the law says you have to be put on a ventilator because, I don't know, some religious doctrine or something in the 19th century, even if you're totally brain dead. So, it's a thing. Maybe someday there's going to be an AI bot that could go, yep, he's had it, Jim. Old Doug done bit the wax tadpole and has shuffled off down the long blue tunnel to the afterlife. So in the meantime, you might want to make sure you have a surrogate and you express your wishes to them. And you probably need to do all that in the form of a legal document, especially if you're not married to them or they're not your child. Because if you don't have a child who's willing to do this, or maybe you've got 4 children and 2 of them are a little bit wacky, you'll be sorry. I assure you, I've seen it. So think about that. Interesting article. That is the news. Thank you, Aaron, and we will see you next time on the Security Weekly News.